I was communicating with energy. It was like thought. I was sitting in this bubble, thought bubble, and I saw Debbie, my wife, and I saw her, and I saw her sort of crying, and I'm like, I ain't leaving yet.
Steven Machat, my guest today, is a global entertainment guru, music publisher, talent manager, record label owner, film producer, and author, among various other commercial endeavors. Throughout his career, he has proudly served a number of renowned clients, including Genesis, Peter Gabriel, Young Lean, Phil Collins, Leonard Cohen, Snoop Dogg, and Bobby Brown. His record label, SSK Record, currently represents 5 talented bands and 1 musical talent. Steven is an author with 11 published books. His latest work, Unraveling the Bible, as well as another one I just learned about, We've Got to Get Out of This Place, stands as a culmination, at least the Unraveling the Bible does, as a culmination of a lifetime of research presenting an alternative perspective on the creation of mankind. Steven's lifetime of research and exploration has helped him navigate a recent, and I mean recent, near-death experience, drawing on his deep understanding of the subconscious mind and the power of focused breath work. He embarked on a journey of recovery that defied all expectations set by medical professionals. His remarkable recovery stands as a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the transformative potential of blending intellectual curiosity with practical techniques. His NDE strengthened his previous message to the world, and today he focuses on this one main message, which is, all religions come from a shared origin. When people put their religion story aside and understand we all come from one shared origin, the energy of love, which is what we talk about all the time on the show, we can start healing the world. Through music and books, Steven aims to educate and share the source of light, an energy that can bridge the world's biggest catastrophes, and advocate for love and peace. Welcome, Steven.
Hey, hello to you.
Well, let's go ahead and start with the NDE. I mean, I feel like we could probably talk for a very long time. You have a very interesting mind, an interesting life, an interesting perspective. But yeah, start with the NDE, and then I'm assuming it'll blend in some of your own perspectives on the origin of love and light and the rest.
Well, a year ago on February 2nd, I was in Cuba. And I went down to Cuba to pick up a record. I produced a record, and for your listeners, it's one of the best records I've ever produced. It's called Aguaje, A-G-U-A-J-E, Ramos, and his Buena Vista Social Orchestra. And this comes from the Buena Vista Social Club, which some of you may know. And what it is it's an orchestration of music that was very important for the Cubans, because the Black Cubans all came from some portion of Africa, and they have the most diverse Black Africans of all the nations. And all the music is related to religion. And the relation to religion is they all worship the many gods, be it the Yohibas, be it the soul religion. And so what they did is they made different songs in different provinces of Cuba from the slave trade. And they would be singing because they had nothing else to do. And the Catholic Church basically created this slave trade in 1455 to create a new world. And I write books about this. So anyway, I'm in Cuba, and I'm picking up music that I was supposed to have 7 years ago, before my country and the Cuban country decided I may not be what either one want.
Right.
So as I picked up the music, I realized, my back hurts. And I looked at Aguaje, who's like my brother, and I said, I think I have a problem. And the man that works for me in Cuba is an ex-Cuban general. And I'm like, his name's Angel. I'm like, Angel, I don't feel well. So we went back to my hotel, and I didn't sleep too well because I've never really experienced pain. And I've had other NDEs, but this is my latest. So I thought I would be fixed in Cuba, but they chose not to fix me. What they did is they put me on an airplane, got me back to Miami. And now I'm back in Miami Friday night, and I got home, and I said to Debbie, and I never really complained, I said, I don't know what to do. I'm in pain. So we figured it would go away Saturday, Sunday, and I didn't throw my back. It was a weird back. And what it was I ended up going to the hospital Monday, and I was in AFib. All my organs collapsed. And so I still don't know what it was. And they kept me there Monday. And then they kept me there Tuesday, obviously. And Tuesday they did the MRI and they found out that I had some form of something inside me. And after they did the MRI late Wednesday, and they told Debbie I may not awaken from it. And I had these dreams where I was looking at consciousness. It was a yellow spin. And this is what you're going to hear. And I could actually send you the cover if you want to see, because I told it to one of my artists and they made a cover out of it. What it was like a spinning wheel. I'm looking. It was yellow. It was all yellow. It was like where they put the little gerbil inside it and it goes spinning around as you feed it.
Yeah.
What was the light? And you could spin around it. And that's this book that we're talking about. This book, We've Got to Get Out of This Place. This book tells you how to ascend. And so I'm sitting in wherever I was no longer in my body. And I heard, you could go now. And whatever that energy was, and we weren't speaking English or anything, and only through my music could I tell this to you, because I've played music in many, many nations on every continent, maybe more than anybody. I've learned how to relate to people through vibrations. I understand that the vowels that come out of our mouths are nothing but vibrations. Mm-hmm. And ah in Spanish is an A in English. It makes you hear some kind of energy. That's why Germans, because the German language is in the forest. And anyway, so these vowels, the reason I just diverged here, I didn't. I was communicating with energy. It was like thought. I was sitting in this bubble, thought bubble. And I saw Debbie, my wife, and I saw her, and I saw her sort of crying, and I'm like, I ain't leaving yet. I have to get my book out. We've got to get out of this place. That's one, and I had to get my other book out, called Unraveling the Bible. I spent my whole life researching this, and by unraveling the Bible and researching all those tabloids, I learned a lot. And then We've Got to Get Out of This Place. I tell you who you are. You're an energy. You're an energy with a consciousness. And an energy with a consciousness, you have a consciousness awareness. And inside a physical body, you lose that consciousness awareness and you become a beast. And I'm a Kundalini expert. I'm a yoga expert. I'm a lot of things. It's like that song, That's Life. I've been in everything you could imagine. And the truth is, I love life, and my desire is to make people love life. I came to Earth believing it was a heaven here, a haven of health and happiness. Never did I realize that the people would do everything they can to make money and feed you stuff that will kill you. So I decided, I woke up and I didn't know where I was. And it's not the Beatles song, I didn't fall out of bed. I couldn't move in the bed. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on? I was dozing off and I'm back, and I saw the yellow lights that they tell you about. It's not the yellow lights, it's yellow vibrations. It's the vibrations that give our consciousness the energy. The energy that we get is from the sun. The energy of consciousness, if you understand what we are, and we're really not taught this, we're just a collection of cells that have a mind, a consciousness, not a body's mind. We have a consciousness. And so the protein goes right. It goes clockwise. It goes around the sun the same way all the other planets do. The electrons, the electric energy that makes all of us move, it goes around counterclockwise. It's on the left. Yeah. For a reason. That's the energy that gets you to go left, right? And that's where these people say, oh, they're rightist or they're leftist. No, they're not. It's just your energy. And when you meet in the middle, it's when you get the most energy. But inside the middle of our cells is a neutron. They tell you there's nothing there. They're lying to you. They can't measure what's there. What's there is your energy, your consciousness. And if you only have one cell, you don't exist. The consciousness creates a desire, and it needs to interact. And it's a social atmosphere. You need to have other beings there with you. Can you imagine being the last person here on Earth? Can you imagine, I don't know if Easter Island? Mm-hmm. I would love to be there watching the last human chop down the last tree on Easter Island. What was going through his head? I chose to get off that merry-go-round. I wanted to come back. I want to come back and finish my lesson. Look at bad energy. Part of me fights with him nonstop because I want to see if I can convert him, because I just don't get it, which is why I ran for political office. I ran for the U.S. Senate, And I may be the only person that can unite the Democrat and Republican Party. They did everything they could to stop me from communicating with the people down here in Florida. But I love life. I love energy. If it's bad energy, it's like playing pinball. Can I change them? Can I divert them? You really can't move them to it unless they're prepared to go there. But
Yeah.
you could share your love. If I look at people on the street, I'll tell them how great they look if they look great. If someone
Yeah.
makes a comment about something, I'm a clothes horse. If someone makes a comment about whatever I'm wearing, I'll look them in the eye and I go, you have really good taste. The smile people have when you tell someone that they have really good taste, all of a sudden you took away age. Like you are right now, you're
Yeah.
smiling. Not
Yeah.
that you had wrinkles, but now you have no wrinkles. If you're smiling, you lose all age. You go to the eternity of all of us. And right now, we're living a gift that we created, the total consciousness.
Yeah.
We created this, and we came here to play. And when you die, I believe this, I've had other occasions. All you do is you go back, you either ascend, you go to the next plateau, like a video game, or you sit there in what they call purgatory, or you sit there and what you do is you meet other beings like yourself, conscious beings, and you sit and plot and you come back.
So, at its most simplistic, what I'm hearing you say is that's the energy of kindness, compassion, love, joy, humor, which helps to elevate consciousness or elevate this
Elevate you.
yeah, elevate, but by elevate vibration, because at our essence, we are this vibration and this energy.
That's who you are. Your energy.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
over it. And
Yeah.
energy has a consciousness. I didn't live in India, but I was in India. I studied with the Dalai Lama's people. I studied relentlessly the Catholic Church. And I just look at them because they took Jesus, the energy of love, and they flipped it, and it became the energy of control.
I know it was interesting. I was recently talking with someone, and he is a born again Christian, and I was expressing something, and I said, I think at our essence, we are connecting to the same thing. We have different ways of saying it. And he said, well, do
And
you have a problem?
visualizing.
Yeah. And he said, do you have a problem with Christianity? And I said, I love Jesus. I
You love
think
love.
I love love. Oh my God. Because that's what Richard Martini says. He always says, he said that Robin Williams came through and the psychic medium said, do you have a message? And his message was love, love. And so he always, as he's about to say goodbye, he says, love, love. But to this gentleman I was having a conversation with, I said, I don't have a problem with anything but, well, I've got problems with other things, but I have a problem with religion. I don't have a problem with Jesus and love. I have a problem with organized religion.
Do you know
This,
what religion means?
I don't.
It's a Latin word. It's two words. Re means two.
Mm-hmm.
And then legion means bind, to bind. It requires you not to think out of the box. It requires you to obey. People tell me, I'm doing this for faith, and I'm doing this because I fear God. I ask everyone,
Oh,
how could you fear your creator? What
that's
kind
right.
of creator would make you sit and bow down to him? That's not my creator.
That's
And if
right.
that's what has to be my creator, then maybe I need to get out of this place. I'll make your audience laugh real quick, if I may. We'll take a
Please.
commercial, Stephen commercial. Since 1976, I'm living in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a public defender going to law school. They made me a public defender because I would represent the underprivileged. So they figured this is the only way to shut the mouth up, which was me. So I had a girlfriend and I sort of liked her, but she was a Baptist and who knows. And so I went with her and her father. We went to the Easter, whatever, ceremony
Service.
Sunday.
Service, yeah.
And what they were doing, and you made me think of this, they were calling people up to be born again. And they
Mm-hmm.
had this big vat. And these people would go there and they would dump their heads in the water and then pull it up. And so I don't know if I was being obnoxious or whatever, but I was curious what was in the water. I was curious what were they drinking? Was this Timothy Leary? Like they come out and they go, woo, I'm born again. And I'm like, well, whatever. But I understand it now on a much different intellectual level.
Sure.
Anyway, that was the last time I hitchhiked because my girlfriend and her father, they had nothing to do with me. They didn't know what to do. I basically had to walk home. There were no cell phones to call an Uber.
Of course
There
not.
was nothing. And that was the last time I remember hitchhiking. But I discovered what born again means again. That means you're no longer locked inside your physical body and you've accepted the beauty of your three upper chakras. because your heart is where love lives. Throat, you have the ability to talk and to communicate with each other,
Expression.
interpolate, to basically to see beyond your body and to communicate with higher energy. You're born again when you understand you're more than your body, and that's what I tell everybody.
I love that. I love that because especially as we're talking about an era that is so highly politicized and divisive and where things are just really, contorted and twisted for the power and manipulation of the masses to bring it back to use your word, the origin both of language, of vibration, of sound, and that it all connects to love.
Yeah.
So you've had a number of NDEs. Let me ask you this. When you think of, let me think of how to ask this. So a lot of people who have come on my show have talked about soul blueprints, soul missions, and soul contracts, and some of whom have said we sit on the other side where it's really home, and we create these contracts and we talk with our divine councils, we talk with our angels and guides, and we say, what are we going back to Earth School to experience?
That's
right?
that's when you reincarnate.
When people often choose for the purpose of just elevating us all, elevating one's soul, they can choose lots of trials and tribulations, a lot of suffering. What is your perspective on that? And do you agree with what I just said or
Partially.
disagree? Okay.
Any thought you have has an origin. So there's truth in every thought you had. I look at it much differently. What happens is, and I write about this, and I've had metaphysicists all around the world call me up and nominate this for many awards because I go right to the metaphysics. Your energy. You're not this body. This body dies. Your brain is your computer. Your brain is not intelligence. Your brain will get you to do stuff that is not intelligence. Your brain will make a loving being hate. Your brain will make a loving being in fear because you believe you won't live forever, but you can't die. Do you know when you die? You die, you go back to nirvana when you no longer have a want or a need. Wants. What happens? How are you created? You're created. Bingo. A thought. All of a sudden, a thought. What's a thought? It's an idea. You have them every night you sleep. Do you know how many ideas you have in the night? You sit here and do nothing. Your brain will go all over the place, but that's not your brain. That's your mind controlling your brain. And then your brain, something will come in there. I'm hungry. What are you going to do? Eat again? You're not feeding you. You're feeding your body. Your body is a machine. It needs the energy of the living. We live in a planet where we have to kill life. And when I sit there with these people who tell me, oh, you eat meat, you're killing things. Excuse me. The most evolved of all organisms here on Earth may be the plants. The plants know how to figure out ahead of time who lives and who shall die. They work through the waters. They have their nerves are the roots, and then they know how to use fungi to make things happen.
Right. So the intelligence of that is profound. But let me get back to this idea of pre-planning our lives to some extent with the aids of guides, coming here, and sometimes we choose very ambitious lives where there could be a lot of suffering. What is your take on that?
Well, I chose a very ambitious life. I refused to submit. I was trained to be a lawyer. I can't stand lawyers. What do? They sit and lie to you. They cheat, and that's what they do. But that's what our world is. I'm an explorer of love, and I explore love through music, through audio, through visuals. I produced a lot of movies in all different positions, and I write books, so at least my thoughts are written down there. And for your audience listening, the purpose of writing a book is you get your thoughts in line, and then if you really are honest with your higher self, you learn to see what you didn't see, and you keep going because your ability to see is never ending.
That's right.
Nothing is always the same. Go run down the same street, and these eyes will see things that it never saw before. You'll see tree stumps that you've missed. And we're all looking for that someplace that we all knew when we go back there. And it's a song by Kane, Keane, which is really good. And all we are is we're just a consciousness wandering around. So to get specifically to what you asked me, what happens is these other people, beings, and I don't know where I'm going to be at the end of the day. They tell you to go to the light. Well, I told you what the light is, but most, they get off because they had something to do. Luckily, I was strong enough to maintain my body's form when I got back in there. The doctor told me going back there, they told Debbie he may not make it. Then after I made it, they said his odds, because what I had was I had an abscess that was eating my spinal cord.
Youch.
And, and I had no idea what was going on. And it came from a procedure that I had on my back to eliminate pain. And the pain was because my nerves were going through the disc. And to me, the disc are nothing other than like Jupiter. My body's Jupiter, and I've got moons. And the moons keep me in rotation. They keep that big planet in a circle. Well, the disc in our back keep this body, that what makes it work off a pin is those discs that go around it. And what happens is when they leak, the nerves get extra weight. And I've sat there with physicists discussing this with them. So the leakage on your nerves as it goes through that part of the back, and it communicates with your brain upstairs, the north end of you. But as it goes through there, it picks up more weight. And it's no different than tuning and playing piano. And the pain you feel is the extra weight. As minimal as you may think it is, it still throws off the piano, which is
The
your
harmony.
body. Yeah, which is a finely tuned instrument that has to work. And it works. And you need to exercise it. And if you don't exercise your body, something will go wrong. If you exercise your body and if you take risks, something will go wrong. So the trick in life, for a long life, to those listening, and I'm not a good example because I've asked for trouble, because I'm curious what goes on with energy. You need to make sure that you understand the limits of how far you're going to go. That when I tell my bands on the road and everything, I said, I don't care what you do as long as two things. You remember how you got home, and don't be stupid enough to drive a car if you don't know who you are. Don't do that. And unfortunately, I lost my son that way because we had a band called Young Lean. I have not had an easy life, and I push life. I push the boundaries.
Because of your curiosity.
Yes, like right now I'm with a woman who I love, and she kept me alive because my love for Debbie kept me alive. And I'm like looking at these doctors. When they told me I would never walk again, forgive my language, I'm like, fuck you. Just tell me what I need to do. And they're telling Debbie that only 20% of the people that have this type of abscess eating his body, it's once we get on that spinal cord, it's hard to keep them alive. But nothing's going to kill my energy. Somehow I'm going to get to the end. I believe your bodies can't last more than 120 years. We're a car. You're in that car, and your love of life will help you keep it longer. And don't let anyone tell you can't do what you physically can do. Yeah. And not all of us can physically do the same things.
No.
So we're basically a team living here on Earth, and you need to put together to have a team so you can live your dream. So if you came to have a dream, and if you believe your dream is all about you, you're not going to be successful. You're not going to be happy. And that's the story of King Midas. And all these fables. You need to edit me because I'll go off.
I'm trying. You're so fascinating. And so what I want to ask you about is if you had any principles. I'm going to start with this question. If you have any principles of life, what might they be?
Well, each of us have our own principles. I respect everybody's opinion. My opinion is it's love. My opinion is you need to accept other people for what they are. If you're like me, you want to change them, but don't beat them, don't kill them. Accept them for who they are. I've lived within almost every religion here on Earth. I've made music in almost every culture that there is on Earth. I was going to tell you countries, who knows? But I've been in over 100 countries. I lived in Egypt studying the temples and everything. I've been all over Israel. I'm still trying to find out what that game is. I got a lot of interviews in Israel in my book, Unraveling the Bible. And I've sold a lot of books. It's on the Amazon's bestseller list. And I tell you, you were created by these beings. End of story. And they live in our solar system. End of story. And
what does that mean, beings?
We're beings. We're beings, or it could be consciousness. Good question. Your consciousness. And inside a body, you're a being. Inside a plant, that consciousness is a being. It's living. It's physically living.
And that never dies. Consciousness never dies.
Never
that
dies.
energy
Once
never
you get
dies.
out of
It
your
just
body.
transforms into a different plane of existence.
It could if you're ready to ascend. You got to give up your wants and needs.
Yeah.
If you give up your wants and needs, or if you have other needs that have been fulfilled here, it's like, I don't know how many times I've reincarnated. I have no idea how long it took me to get here. But I came out of my mom basically asking everyone questions, believing nothing people say. I listen to noises, I hear from the beyond. I won't deny it. And the truth is, there's not one human alive that doesn't talk to themselves. Well, maybe it's your higher consciousness that's talking to yourself. But
Mm-hmm.
if you told your kindergarten teacher, your first grade teacher, or if you told your parents, I have someone talking to me in my head, oh, you're being ridiculous. You're being ridiculous.
So, what are some of the habits that feel really important to you, or like a day in the life of Steven Machat? What are some of the things that are important to you, practices that feel important to keep you in?
I kiss my wife good morning.
Uh-huh.
I inhale the beauty of the moment. I do. I do. I meditate all day.
Mm.
And I don't sit there with my legs and my arms. I'll meditate as I'm whistling while I meditate. And I just go for the rhythms and the rhymes. I find something that will interest me, something that will feed my energy. And I go from there. And, I feel very honored now on reflection that I'm at this age, the Confucius age, where I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to do it. Did I do
Yeah.
this my whole life? The truth is yes. Did I have depressing moments? Yes. Having your son die? Yeah,
Oh
that's pretty
gosh.
depressing. Having my father killed by his mistress or put to sleep? That's
Oh my
depressing.
gosh. Mm-hmm.
And it's to watch my mom die of Parkinson's?
Oh,
That's depressing.
heck.
To watch people suffering from cancer or whatever, and I believe it's all mental. Outside mental. It's metaphysical. I believe you can
It
control
is
anything.
metaphysical. Yeah, there are two people, once we end the show, that I'm going to want to introduce you to. So you already know Richard Martini. There's another one, Steven Saruda, that I'm going to be introducing you to with your permission around this idea of energy and that we and
Sure.
everything is metaphysical, because the conversations that you and these gentlemen will have will be mind
Phenomenal.
bending, phenomenal. So the through line in all of this that I'm hearing from you is really quite simple. We are all energy. Energy, consciousness, at its most essence, essence at its essence is love, and curiosity is what fuels you to stay present to what is so amazing around you.
You stated it very well. I mean, curiosity, it may kill the cat, but the cat is a gato. It's in Spanish, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to be a gato. You want to be alive. You want to sit and experience. You came here to have an education. You
Yeah.
came here to learn more than you had before, right?
Okay. Okay. So through your books, people need to be reading your books to learn more, because the mind that you have come into this earth with, and the knowledge and the research and the experience that you share, is so expansive. We are trying to urge people to learn more about you, because I think you've piqued a lot of curiosity here. So we've got to get out of this place,
Here, let
right?
me help you. I just pulled something up, and even
Please.
at times I have to read. What is consciousness? All of us ask that question. Well, physical body is you're living inside a machine. You are a car. You're a computer. Your brain works to keep the machine working. But what am I talking about? And what are you talking about? Well, consciousness is 7 eternal energies. I'm summarizing. Okay, so what is the first one? Intelligence. What does intelligent mean? It's an objective and subjective standard. So no one's going to give you the same answer, but it all gathers around being able to be aware.
Yes.
Okay? Each of us, as a consciousness, we have an ego. So maybe someone's going to tell you an ego is where you edge God out. Well, maybe it should be ego, where you edge creator out, right?
Mm.
Then third, your consciousness is able to feel. You could feel things as in being aware that there's a wind blowing at you, right? Your mind, okay, so it's not your body's mind, but you're able to be aware of your surroundings. You know where you are. You could see what the energies around you created. It's a teamwork that creates Earth, you know? You have knowledge. What does that mean? That means you could retain what you lived through, the lessons you lived through. You could live them. You could learn more, because no knowledge is ever forever. When I meet a scientist that tells me it's this way because it's this way, I feel I just met a very illiterate human being because everything changes. It's energy, it remanifests itself. Mm-hmm. Then also consciousness, we have the ability to build our own erector set from my youth. If we visualize something, we have a thought and we get stuck on it, we could actually make that happen. We have the ability to make it happen. What do you think writing a song's about? Where does a song come from? A song is an idea you have in your head. Where's your restaurant from? That's an idea you have in your head. So here you have a thought. Now the thought becomes a desire. So what you do is you make a blueprint out of it and you figure out how to put it together. That's what we do as a being. And we all live in the collective solar system that we call the sun solar system that has 10 planets, not 9 that we're taught. And when there's this planet Nibiru, and that's the planet that comes by Earth every 3,200 Earth years. And when they tell you that the planet is 3 billion years old, they forgot to put one word in front of billion. 3 billion Earth years. So anyway, you have the action, and then 7, you have a life force. I could do this in what they call purgatory. There's still a life force when you die. If you want to stay here in this dimension, you go back there, right? So you have the ability to make a physical body perform. When people tell you they speak to other energies that are inside, call it the shadow of ascension, that's outrageous. I didn't do that. That's outrageous.
Well, that is Riverside. I don't know what I did that made those balloons, but it worked beautifully with what you were saying.
Hallelujah. Right?
I know, it was perfectly timed.
Which is the Leonard Cohen song when we managed them that we worked on.
Oh, it's gorgeous, yeah.
And it's all about falling in love and finally getting the girl that he wanted. Mm. It has nothing to do with Sky God.
Yeah.
So anyway, so to make a physical body perform, you need to be crystallized, assimilate, eliminate, metabolism, meaning you eat and you circulate what you ate. All life form needs to go around the energy source. Our energy source, where our consciousness, I believe, lives, is in the sun. And that's where it is. And maybe if you listen to other people, I don't know, maybe you got to go from Mars to Earth and Earth to Venus and to Mercury and then burn away all the fears and energy you have, go back into the sun, and then be elevated to the next level. It's a video game. I've worked with video games. If you saw the movie Street Fighter in Capcom, I got stuck in that. I get dealt these cards where I get into the middle of more things and I look for the higher meaning of what I'm doing. And I can't get out of it. You know, I did oil deals where I created a fracking form contract. And then the next thing I realized there's something not right with fracking. And I had a guy come to me and he goes, and the movie ended up being called Gaslight. Can you help me? I need music. People come to me for music. I'll get you the rights to music. And then I get involved because I'm like that relief pitcher. I'm not coming in for one batter. Everyone they get ready for me. And it's like, okay, Machat, we could blame you if something goes wrong. And all of a sudden we got the movie out. We made sure it came out. It was a documentary. It was up for the best movie of the year as a documentary. It lost. But it questioned everything. And then I got involved with trying to eliminate fracking. Wow. You know, I did a movie a few years ago called The Gift that was up for the best documentary in the Academy Awards. And
well,
The Gift was...
Go ahead. I was going to say, the thing about you, if you're talking about energy, you have boundless energy.
I could go right through this TV set and touch it.
I know. I know. It's amazing. It's extraordinary. So finish up, because we're going to need to start. And you meditate to go to sleep with all this energy that you had. You came channeled in with a lot of energy.
Yeah.
A lot of energy, a lot to do, a lot to achieve, a lot to discover, a lot of connecting of people and ideas. And I'm really hearing this elevation of love is the most fundamental.
I've got a letter from the Cuban government, and they told me that what I'm doing for Cuba is the most important thing. I'm saving their culture by putting this music out. Mm. And it's just beautiful music. Again, it's the Jorge Ramos and the Buena Vista Social Orchestra. Okay. So they're telling me they'll help do me around the world as I go book them around.
I love it.
But it's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful life. It's a beautiful life. Okay, we're at time, basically. We're getting to time here. How can people reach you? We talked about your books. Where else can they learn about you?
StevenMachat.com would be the best.
Okay.
And you could go to my record label, which it's all cross-pollinated, SSK Records. And you can see my past. You'll see the acts.
Yeah.
And I just love love. I love putting out music. I love to come off as the man in the white robe. The white robe is energy. I don't want your energy. I don't want to take it from you. I'm not a vampire.
Thank
I'm
God.
not a zombie. I'm
Yeah.
just I'm just a fellow soldier living here on earth trying to find out everything I can.
And you're doing a lot. You are finding out everything that you can. I love that. That's a beautiful place for us to end. I want to thank you so much for your time, so much for your stories, your intelligence.
No, thank you. Thank you for the time, and bye-bye, audience.
How I Made It Through is produced and distributed by EIQ Media, LLC. Elevate your emotional IQ with podcasts and content focused on overcoming adversity, leadership, mental health, entrepreneurship, spiritually transformative experiences, and more.